We are going to make a wire slip. This is used in Stumpwork to hold the shape of our piece we're stitching on because it is free from the fabric. Here's another example you can see. This one is on some tulle fabric, so you see some of the fabric showing through, but you can see that the thread is going around, covering up the wire around our leaf here. So how do we do this? We start with some, let me grab my wire here. You can see it's really thin and kind of fine. This is floral wire. They make it in a variety of gauges. I would just find the one you like to use. Now we are going to have our fabric in the hoop, and we want to start by holding our wire. I'm going to start kind of where my thumb is right here. You can see I have a little bit of a tail of wire. We want this because we're going to insert that wire into whatever our piece is going in later. But we are going to couch this wire down in the shape we want. So to couch, we come up on one side and go down around that wire to the other side here, just gently tacking that wire in place. And then we come up again on one side of our wire and go around to the other side. And I'm just going to kind of work my wire into the shape I want here. You can also like bend your wire before laying it down if that's easier for you. Like bend it into the shape you want. Come on up on one side, and we want to go all the way around our wire here. And with this, doesn't necessarily, our stitches don't need to be close together. We just want to tack this wire into place to hold it down in the shape we want. And we're not trying to cover the wire or anything either. That's the next step. So come on up, keep going around here. And we want to make sure these couching stitches are nice and close to our wire. And I'm kind of just making like a petal shape here, as if I were doing a flower. And then we'll just kind of pull this back over here into the shape I want. And we're almost getting to the end here. Oh, make sure your thread doesn't catch around your wire. That is one of the fiddly things about Stumpwork. So this last stitch I am going to do across both of my wires here, just to make sure they both stay in place and don't come apart, like so. All right, and then I'll just kind of push these down here, twist them together a little bit so they're less in the way. After we have couched down our wire for our wire slip, we need to do the buttonhole stitch that goes all the way around our wire here. And this is the part where we want to really cover up that wire we have. So I ended down in this where my wires connect, so I'll just come up on the inside of my shape and start my buttonhole stitch. So I hold my thread towards the outer edge, go back in on the same side where I came up, gently tug so I have a loop of thread, and then I come up on the outside of my wire inside that loop and gently tug my thread here. And we always want to tug toward the outside of our shape to ensure that our buttonhole edge stays flush with the wire. And then we keep on going. So I'll go back into the fabric on the inside of my wire, come up on the outside of that wire in my loop, and gently tug. And these stitches, we want them pretty close together so that way they are covering up that wire as much as possible here. You can see mine have a little bit of gaps in between them, but that's okay because that can get covered up. But we just want to work our way all the way around our shape here. And this will be the outer edge of our flower petal. And the inside of our shape, it doesn't matter how close we are to the wire. I like to kind of leave a little, not be super flush with it on the inside, but on the outside of our shape, it's really important that we are as flush as possible to that wire when we come up, because we don't want to accidentally cut our stitch thread when this gets cut away from the fabric. And I'm using cotton fabric for this example. You can stitch this on cotton fabric. I actually prefer doing it on tulle or another kind of sheer fabric, just because I think when you cut away the edges, you don't see it as much. And with cotton fabric, it sometimes tends to get like fuzzy bits or show through a little more on your edging. Not that you can't fix that, but with tulle, I think it's a little easier to hide that or not need to do anything extra to fix it. But we'll just keep going around our shape. As you can see, this is a little bit of a slow process. Stumpwork often combines mini stitches together to create one piece, much like this wire slip here. But you kind of get into a groove with your stitches as you get going here. And I know some people like to do what I call cheater stitches, where you kind of pop your needle in and out of the fabric. I think that's really hard to do with something like this because you have that wire edging there. Oh, got my thread. And it would be harder to kind of get your needle in precise position if you were trying to pop your needle like in and then back up right here like that, which is why I'm going down on one side, pulling all the way through without catching my needle and thread, and then coming back up on the other side. But if you find the other way works for you, go for it. You know, there's no right or wrong with embroidery. It's a little bit like coloring with thread. We're just having fun. Keep on going around here. As you can see, I'm rotating my hoop a little bit as I work to make it easier to hold that loop of thread, and always pull my buttonhole loop towards that outer edge. And if you wanted to change colors partway through or needed to stop and start, you can definitely do that with this process. I just grabbed a really long piece of thread for this, so I wouldn't have to. But sometimes, you know, when you do a flower petal, it changes colors. It isn't all the same color along that outer edge. So you could stop and restart your buttonholing, and that would help you add some fun color variation and different depth to your flower petal or whatever you're working on. Maybe it's a butterfly wing or a carnivorous plant. You never know. Mine are all plant examples because I do a lot of nature-inspired embroidery, but you can use this for anything you want to be 3D. We're getting there, almost to the end. Oh, I caught something there. I have a little bit of a knot. So I could feel that when I went to go pull my thread through, there was some resistance. So it's good I caught it early and I'm able to get that knot out, because with stump work, you want the back to be nice and flush and clean, because it will be exposed and people will see the back. So we want to try to avoid any knots or tangly thread bits. Unfortunately, stump work is one of those types of embroidery where a clean back is very important. Some people love it and some people hate a clean back, so it's totally personal preference there, but stump work does work better with a clean back. All right, we're almost getting to the end here, and as you know, I started on this side of my wire, so I need to continue my buttonhole so it goes over these 2 wires I have here. So I'll do one more to the left of my wires, do another that will go across those wires there, and then my last stitch here, I want to connect it to the row I started. So I'll just go down in the loop of that buttonhole right there along that outer edge, like so, and that is our wire slip. Ta-da!